And going live now. Here we go. Hello everyone. I hope you can hear me all right. Today I'm starting a bit early because I already had everything set up, so why not? Also, this might be, this is probably a bit of a longer stream. Okay, so first off, let me just pin a comment just in case anyone has questions. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna pin that one. Okay, just in case anyone has questions, you can always pin Blender Studio directly and like at Blender Studio, and then I can see it really well in the chat. There we go. Okay. Everything else is working. Ooh, hello from Germany. Ah. Perfect. Okay. And I will already turn on some music. Perfect. Okay. I'll lower the volume for myself for now. So this is an interesting stream. In the past, like the past 8 weeks, I've been streaming the process on Snow, the next character in the Cloud character library. But today, I'm getting back to Sprite Fright, or at least, I mean, I've been working on Sprite Fright for a long time, but now I'm actually going to stream it again. So, essentially, I just want to get over like some basic information for what I plan to do today. So, I see someone ask like, what software is this? This is PureRef. It's a free software for references, so I can just throw images in here and add text, and then I just have one big collage. I removed some stuff from here which was a bit spoilery. I'm not going to make this about, like, I'm not going to add any spoilers. I'm gonna keep this as spoiler free as possible. And so the set that I want to create today is one that is very much at the beginning of the movie. So it's about this one. It's called, the sequence is called Log Bridge, I think. I would actually have to check again. It's specifically about this log bridge set. It's like really at the beginning, the teenagers, our main characters, are crossing a log bridge. There's 2 shots which feature this set in particular, so it's not going to be on screen for that long, but it's still pretty pivotal, so there needs to be some effort in this. This was the original keyframe painting from Vivian Lulkowski, our concept artist, and she did a great job, even though like this was done really early, and eventually she revised it with a color script because the mood was not the right one. Also, this got changed even more now in the layout animation. But this was the starting point. I'm gonna just like, I mean, I could talk a bit about like how we structure our like this will be a really heavy stream on like linking assets and creating the sets for animation and rendering. So I can also go a bit over our pipeline. I'm gonna go into questions in a moment, but first let me so explain a bit on the pipeline. So this is our repository. All of our files for the entire project are stored here, and what is already being done is like we got the, like, for example, I mean, I don't need to show it exactly here. I can also show it in Blender. So if I go open and actually go into the sprites SVN, you can see our repository over here. So the main ones which I'm usually accessing is previs and the production. So previs is like, that's the main territory for essentially Hjalti. who's like editing the entire film together and like doing a lot of work on the layout, which is essentially, the layout is like the first step after the storyboard. You kind of like use the bare minimum assets that we have, or just make some, to just get a general understanding of the layout, like the general layout of the set, where is what, and where do the cameras need to be placed, how do they need to move and animate, and just how long is the movie. This is where you really get like a rough understanding, or like a closer understanding of how long the movie will be and what animation needs to be done, and basically anything in the movie. So if I go on here, for example, the two main ones which will be important for me is over here, the first sequence, the intro log bridge and intro begin log. Like, I don't exactly know the story behind this, but for some reason the, I guess because the editing kept changing, the first sequence got split up into 5 different files. This is not ideal for me right now, but layout work is messy. Like, you just want to do everything as fast as possible, and that is why usually when, for example, I can like open the layout file over here for the log bridge, and it's just going to be really crude modeling and really blocked animation and just the bare minimum of what is required to get a visual understanding of the movie. So also ignore that Jay over here is kind of T-posing. His animation is broken, I guess. Okay, I'm going to also remove his boombox and the backpack. Okay, so essentially this is the shot. Oh, okay, I'm just gonna scrub through this, to be honest, because there we go. Because the frame rate is a bit sad. Okay, so this is the shot. It's actually a relatively long one, where all the characters are crossing the log bridge, and then it's like crumbling a little bit. So not the most secure thing, but now they're entering into the rest of the movie. So the thing is, this shot is still changing. Hjalti is getting back into the layout and adjusting some things, especially because this shot is way too long. It's like 16 seconds long or something. And but in general terms, it will still stay the same. Like the camera angle, the composition, this is what I will be working with. And like, I can just enable some overlays. Like, if you see the models, like this is really crudely modeled. It is really just slapping everything together as basically as possible. The characters are somewhat finished, some of them. Others were still being sculpted while the layout was being done. So we needed to just give like the animators, or specifically Hjalti, like a bare minimum version of the characters, and then he can just animate them as simply as possible. Even like the fog is really just like a bunch of planes with transparency. Like, there's so much trickery to just get a rough visual idea of the shot, but it works. But this will be the starting off point from where I will start the set from, because this is giving me the composition, where everything needs to be, and where the characters need to have ground contact, or like in general contact with anything in the set. Because primarily what I need to start with is setting the setup for the animators. Animation will start really soon, so I need to do this as quickly as possible. I mean, and I can also open like the other version of the layout, the other file, and that is just again another shot, this one over here, which is just basically the set from a different angle, but it has a lot more information over here. We see like further into the forest, so that also needs to be created in this set. And if I like go out of here, like the, oh man, okay, I need to hide the fog. It's messing with my camera. Okay, so, and other things are also different. Like, I know that these two trees over here are fundamentally different, differently modeled. So I need to really have both of these versions of the set from the layout as a reference. And I will show you how to do that in a moment. But I will quickly go to the chat. I've been ignoring any questions that might come my way. Does the studio generally use HDRIs for lighting? Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Although in, for example, the nighttime scenes, we would probably just add all the lights manually. How did you get the dock to appear on desktop? Sorry, I don't know what you mean. Can kids enter to industry? I mean, you would need to get a job, but I mean, there's plenty of areas where you can contribute free time. Like, that's basically how I started. I also just got together with other artists and just worked on them on something. So that's actually a really good starting point. Suggestions for beginners animation. Sorry, I'm not an animator, so can't really comment on that. But anyway, this is the layout. So I'm basically just going to start with the set now. So this is like basically my startup file generally, and I can just delete anything in here. Like I can just get rid of all of this. And the first thing that I'm going to add is the main collection for the set itself. Like if I just quickly go to our if I go to the production part of our entire project, you can find like there's the shots themselves, there's also look development and animation test, just anything that happened in pre-production, and there's the library. And in the library, we have all of the assets of the entire movie. We have the cameras, we have the characters' environment assets, which are just like rocks, trees, anything we just scatter around. Lighting setups, general textures we use everywhere, node setups, the pose library, props, like assets that characters are interacting with, scripts, and we have the sets. And the sets are like the larger arrangements of the environment, which then also contain things like other environment assets. So I can open like sets up here, and then in here, like I'm basically going to place the file. So let's just go save the file, go into log bridge, that's the name of the set, and I'm going to save it here. And just in case once we start animation or actual like rendering and lighting of these shots, they're going to link in this set. So as an asset, I'm going to call this SE for set, and then log bridge. Ooh. So this is the collection that we will link into the actual animation files and the lighting files later on, and there will be everything in here that we need for that set. Then I can add some more, like collections specifically for this file while I'm working on the set, like let's say temp lights. Like if I want to have like a crude rough lighting setup just to get an idea of how the lighting might affect my set. And then let's just call this one references, and in here I can have the layout and props. Or actually, I'm gonna remove that folder. I'm just gonna have the props flying in the layouts collection. And then I'm going to add another collection which is called libraries, and there I'm just going to put all the environment assets that I'm going to be linking in, like rocks, trees, leaves, basically whatever I need. So this is the general structure. Other things that I can already set up is, for example, I just want to go in here and enable denoising because I just find it generally useful. I don't know why I don't have it enabled by default. And then also the correct aspect ratio. Like if I'm not sure, I can just directly copy this from the layout file. Like we have a CinemaScope aspect ratio of 2048 times 858. Let's see, I can just paste this in, 858. Ooh. And that's it. second. So, oh, and FPS is 24 frames per second. Seconds. All of this is good to go. Now, first thing that I need is really, I need to get the layout in here. So I already know where the layout is. It's all in here, in the layout files, where Hjalti was working. And I can get this into my file as a reference if I link it in. And the best way I like to link this in is to link the entire scene, like basically the entire file. Because if I would go in here, and I would just go up to previs, and then I have the layout here, and I would go to Logbridge. If I want to link in specific collections, I'm going to have a hard time finding them. The nesting of the collections is actually not visualized here, it's just sorted by name. And because the layouts are typically super messy and not well organized, at least not in the fine details, I can't really do this. This is way too hard. A way easier way for me to do this is instead I can just go to intro Logbridge and then just go to scene and link in the entire scene. If I link this in, nothing really changed, but over here I have my scene, which I can just call Logbridge. And then I can switch to another scene, and this will essentially just give me the layout. Some things are breaking a bit over here, but that's like bugs that need to be fixed. But if I would reload the file, it would just work. Like, let me just try that. I hope it won't crash. Right now there's some bugs flying around, but just bear with me. There we go. It crashed. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to open the file again. For some reason it's crashing on reverting the file, which basically just means reopening the file. Let me try this. Yes. Now, so once I've reopened it, the characters work again. I see some more questions. I'm quickly checking the chat. Will this be rendered in cycles or Eevee, or a combination of both? Primarily cycles. There were discussions on doing it in Eevee, but maybe some aspects will be rendered in Eevee, because we did a similar thing in Spring. Like, small elements were actually rendered in Eevee. And even in Coffee Run, in that short film, we rendered the movie mainly in Eevee, and then other aspects like the motion blur and specific passes we rendered in cycles, and even a little bit in Workbench, I think. Luckily you can decide to use multiple render engines. You don't need to switch just one, as long as you can composite it back together. Hi Falk, nice of you to join us. Okay, so I have the layout now in the file, but I don't want to constantly switch back and forth between these scenes. That's not practical. I want to have it in my scene where I'm actually going to make the set. Also, sorry if this is going to be a bit more of a dry session stream, or at least. And I'm not sure. I think it's interesting because it's giving a bit more of a production insight instead of just here's how you make something cool in a minimum amount of time. But I hope this is interesting enough. So what can I do? I can go back to my Logbridge set over here, and I can actually I'm just going to make this outliner wider, and I'm going to split it into two. And over here I can go to by default it's set to view layer, which will essentially just show your outliner with some visibility settings from the current view layer. I can also go to Blender file over here, and then it will show me everything that is in the current Blender file. So up here I have my current file, which is just everything that is in here locally, and down below we can see everything that is linked in. So primarily everything is coming from this file over here, previous 10 intro logbridge.blend. Anything that is below over here is actually indirectly linked in from this file. So basically, I don't need to worry about too much about the linking. I just need to pull some stuff from this file over here. So if I open this up and I go to collections, I can see all the collections over here. Actually, like I could just then get the stuff from here, but I also want to try something else. Let's just go to scenes, because I have the scene here as well. So here I also have access to the same thing. I only now, this only came to my mind now that I can do this as well. Brilliant. Okay. So the two collections that I'm mainly interested in right now is the scene core and the scene extra. Like if I link in the scene core to layout, I have this now linked in, which is like indicated by this little chain link icon. Now I can select this, I can hide it, but it's still coming from the layout file, so I can't actually move it or edit it. I can do anything with these objects, only visualize them. I'm just gonna save. So these are the main objects for this set, which are going to be important, which are the objects that the character's actually interacting with. The log bridge and the two grounds. So now I can also link in scene extra, which is just everything else. Hold on. I'm just gonna drink something. I hope it didn't freeze. It's actually loading quite long. There we go. Okay, so now I got these two collections already linked in. This is perfect. In terms of the set, I don't really need anything else, but I'm just going to, hold on, reference is set. I'm going to make another collection over here, and I'm going to make a collection called characters. Now in here I want the characters. I'm just going to select them. I basically only need the characters. I don't need the props that they are holding, like the boombox and the spray can and all that stuff. Because I'm really just worried about the ground contact that they're having, or like anything that they are actually interacting with in the set. I'm going to again just hide J. Little note, anything that is linked in, like these are all the toggles you have in the outliner. But you can see that most of them are grayed out, and that is because these are actually like some sort of visibility state that is stored in the blend file where this is coming from. I can't change this. This is like locked off. The only thing I can really change are like anything that is specific to the view layer, like these two toggles, or like hiding them with the eye icon or the check mark. So I'm just going to just get rid of some of these icons and just keep it to basically these ones. Okay, and then I'm going to hide J. His animation is broken right now, but I don't need him. Not now. I see some more questions in the chat. Do you switch when a new version comes out or use LTS? We're actually in the studio when working on the movies, we're using the latest master version. So basically the Blender Alpha version, whatever is out right now. Which means everything is kind of unstable, which like so we're reporting a lot of bugs and crashes, but also just testing new features. So it's like also part of our job. But I also saw Falk answer the question. Anyway. So now I have everything that is essential from the layout. Just merge this outliner back together. Now, the next thing I would grab is all the different libraries, all the different assets I need. So I'm just gonna go File, Link, and then I can go up a bit into our library and go to Environment Assets, Env. And here we see all kinds of different assets that we're working with. It's not a lot, but they like each file contains a lot of variation. So I could go, like for example, I could start with just branches, collection, and then I want the collection EN for environment assets, and branches oak. I think this pretty much contains all the different branches. Link in, and also, wait, I'm gonna say that again in a moment. Let's first wait until it's linked in. There we go. And now I got this instance of the entire library. I can just like make this local, and these are all the branches that we're using in the movie. So later on, I'm just going to hide this collection so we never see it, but it's just hanging out in the background. And now I just need to link in all the other things. So I just go File, Link, go back up, and I also need the bushes. So I go to Collections, and here I can also search for EN, and here's EN bushes. I always make sure that instance collections is on, because then it's not linking in all the individual collections and objects, but it's just kind of neatly putting it in an instance, which is this type of object over here. Like we can see the collection EN bushes, which is linked in, is just kind of nested in this instance, which I can then also move around. Okay, I just keep going like that for a moment. Go back up. Fungi, collection, EN fungi. I'm gonna drink something. Basically, any collection that we give a prefix like EN, CH, PR, like environment assets, props, characters, these are supposed to be linked. These are collections that we can just easily search for, link into another file, and use them. And it actually crashed. Okay, this is going to be a bit annoying. Let's actually see, recover. What time is it? 4:19. I can at any time go recover and autosave, which is usually saving me a lot of time. I see some more questions. Are you part of the Spring movie? Yes, I worked on Spring as well, and there I was also at first mostly working on the characters and environment assets, like making the asset library, and then later, once we moved into production, I was basically the same thing as I'm doing now, just setting up the sets and doing set dressing. And then very late in the movie, even doing some visual effects, like the growing at the end of the movie of the forest. Okay. Okay. I also set up like a custom menu, so I'm just gonna use this one for now. Environments. Oh, come on. Fungi, collections. Yeah, and fungi. Please don't crash. While I do this, I can just like answer questions, and maybe something else also comes to mind, which could be interesting. And it just crashes. Okay, that is really unfortunate. Oh, oops, no, I clicked on recover last session. I didn't want to do that. Recover autosave. I'm gonna skip the fungi file for now, but I'm not sure why it's crashing. And I can't really make a bug report right now. So, I could try another thing, which could save me some time. I'm going to launch another Blender at the same time, and answer some questions in the meantime. Do you support Pablo Dobarro's future vision of Blender of prioritizing real-time interactivity over being able to handle high poly meshes? Oh yeah, someone read the blog post. So I think it's really interesting that there's like a really I think that point can be easily misunderstood, and that is that I think it's like really well known that Blender has some performance issues in some areas, especially if you go, for example, really high poly for sculpting, or like having lots of UDIMs or high texture sizes, or like Blender is going to lag at some point. And one of the things that Blender is really always valuing the most is highly interactive and responsive tools. And a toolset that you could just work intuitively with, and even just while you're rendering in cycles, you could just move stuff around. Everything is supposed to be fast. So one of the decisions is somewhat to is to make sure those two, if needed, are a bit split up. Like you will be able to work real time, but if the poly count is too high, there will be an alternative workspace to go to for working on high poly meshes, for example. Or once you go to high res, there will be a way of actually interacting with it, but not real time. Like the main tool sets you're working with, the main modes, all of that is supposed to be as interactive as possible. But if you're, for example, importing, like one of the typical examples is like a scan, a 3D scan, which is super heavy on the file and on your computer, you're supposed to be able to do anything with it, like really edit it, but that should have its own environment to do it in, because like just having Eevee or cycles directly on top while editing something is not going to work, and some of the tools that are available are just not optimized for working on such assets, and if you just try to use them, it's just going to crash or freeze. So working on this kind of assets or this sort of tasks should have its own optimized environment. Doesn't mean that it's not going to be possible in Blender, it's just going to have its own workflow kind of separated from the interactive one. It's kind of hard to explain. I hope it will become clearer in the upcoming blog posts and tasks, but I don't think people really need to worry about it. It's not going to really disrupt any workflows. If anything, it will add more, which were previously impossible or just kind of difficult to work with. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just open another set, which will be the Mushroom Grove. So this is a set that Andy and I already set up, but this one already has all the different asset libraries linked in, which means I could just copy it from there. It will take a bit of time until it's actually loaded. See some more comments. I'm not sure if you guys are working on this, but Blender and AMD graphics cards don't work at all. Are you guys working on a fix anytime soon? I hope so. I'm not really in the rendering department, and to be honest, every graphics card I worked with so far has been from NVIDIA or Intel, so I'm not really familiar with all the limitations right now with AMD. Another comment. I like the real-time interactive workflow, and having a different mode for high poly workflow and not having real-time interactivity is acceptable and absolutely fine. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it's like the proposal is not throwing a wrench anywhere. If any, like I also saw people being worried that mode switching will be more common since there's like it looks like there's more modes, but if anything, if anything, there will be less mode switching. Just the way modes and workflows are set up and can be customized it should be easier to stay in one or couple modes and just be happy. Anyway, just gonna collapse all of these. Over here, I got a similar setup and a collection over here called libraries. So in here, we got the bushes, the fungi, the grass, EN library. Ooh, I don't know that one. But I'm going to copy over some of them, like, let's see. I already got the branches and bushes. So let's just try this. I'm gonna copy those objects. Hold on. I'm gonna copy those objects, save this for a moment, and paste them in. And what this does is it actually like duplicates them. Like I can just copy and paste from different files that are open at the same time, but this should still link them from the original files. So it should be all good. While we wait, there's more comments. Hold on. How can I join Blender community? The website, you mean? Yeah, I see the comment by Andy. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. And with a fungi collection, it just crashes. Hold on. Is it? It's actually not pasting it in. Ah, come on. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Come on. So, this is not really working as I hoped. So, let's see. I'm gonna save. And I'll again try to link it in, but I'm gonna skip the fungi. The fungi for now, even though they're important. Leaves. Collection. EN. Leaves. Link in. Come on. This should work. Some more comments. But Blender needs some serious development for high poly workflow model. Sculpt anim, and it's okay if not real time, but the way Pablo started made me every worried for production VFX. Nah, I mean, it's still possible to work on basically any workflow that Blender is already supporting. Okay, I got the leaves. I'm gonna save. No, I'm gonna always save. Okay. Now, the plants, those are going to be definitely necessary. And it just immediately crashes. Oh no. This might be a bit of a frustrating stream. Okay. Oh, I just opened the file. Oops. Well. But I mean, in here you can look at the, like, all the different plants we got. Essentially, like in the EN plants, we have the daisies, the harebells, all the different collections full of assets. So, I mean, eventually we're gonna have the asset browser project really kick in, and then all of this will be way easier. But until then, this is the classic workflow. But yeah. Let me just open up the set file again. Log bridge. Huh. I see another comment. Which RAM and graphics card do you need to run very smoothly? I mean, you don't need that much extreme hardware, but I mean, you can find the current, like the PC specs that I have on this recording computer down below in the in the description. But I don't know. Sometimes, like especially set files can become a bit heavy, but unless you're rendering, I think it's all fine, even with lower spec hardware. I see a comment from Andy. It's probably resyncing all the layout files overrides. Oh no. Well, okay, hold on. Maybe if I remove override autosync, which is like an experimental feature. It's going to be working, maybe? Let's see. Link, come on, environments, plants, collections, and it crashes. I'm gonna try one more time, and if it happens still, then... Oh, actually, let me do it from here. So, link in, environments, plants, collections, and it crashes. Okay, so I don't know what's going on, but for now, I don't need the libraries. I can just keep them out and work on the set. There's still plenty to do, so I'm gonna open the Logbridge set. I see some more comments. How will you feel when all your model will be deleted by a bug? Well, terrible. But the good thing, we're working with versioning, so we're like regularly committing our files to an online repository, like a library of files. And if something breaks, we can always roll back to a previous version of the file, and we get our progress, or like we get our previous progress back. Even when a Blender version breaks, we have access to previous Blender versions and we can still work. The worst thing that can happen is that we lose like a day's worth of work, which can hurt, happens, but it's part of the job. Some more comments. Do you critique work? Not quite. I mean, I do on the cloud for the tutorial content that we have there. Eevee does not work on my laptop. Well, yeah, there's like... I mean, it should, depending on the hardware. Maybe there are some limitations I don't know about. There's another... I want to create animated short film. I have 3D rigged models and environments. How do I start? Ooh, it's a big topic. I wish I could go into that, but it's like... That is so huge. I don't know where to start. That is like its own tutorial course. Anyway, I'm going to exclude, like with a check mark, the libraries collection for now, and just continue to work. So the other thing I want to get in here is hold on. To be honest, I'm just gonna call this layout again and put all of the other layout stuff in there. And now in the references, I want to get some more assets in here that I already worked on. And one of them, if I go in here, is the prop, where is it, Logbridge. These are all the different props we already have. And there's Logbridge trunk. And I want to link this in. Oh, collection, PR, Logbridge trunk, prop, Logbridge trunk. Now I'm going to link this in as an instance. So I have it as like a single object that I can just move around. There we go. And this is going to replace this particular log over here. Perfect. I can just hide this. I can also reduce the empty size to 0. There we go. And this will be the replacement. Over here, there's a similar thing. I already started remodeling this tree, which will also be a prop. And I can just get this in there as well. So I can just link in, going way up to the props folder. And I have tree chasm. So collection, PR, tree chasm. Linking this in as an instance. Wait for a moment. There's quite a few more comments. What is the system requirements for Blender? I think they're pretty low. There must be more information on the blender.org website. I also have a rigged model, story plan, and an environment also, but one thing I don't know is to use the rigged model. Ooh, yes. We have videos on that, I think, on the cloud, on how to use, like you can download any of the characters we have, and we explain there how to actually use them. So you can check that out if you want. But yeah, I'm just gonna continue a bit more. I don't have really time to explain how to do that though, sorry. Putting the empty size to 0. Okay. Another question. I want to know how to make custom objects as rigs. Can we do it with Rigify? I'm sure. What software do you use for editing? Also Blender. Blender has a video sequence editor. So actually the entire editing process of Blender, even the compositing and color grading, is happening inside of Blender. Okay. Here we go. I got both of these assets over here. And here's something I want to do. I said that I cannot change these objects because they are linked in. Like they have this chain link icon, so I cannot edit them. That's only half true. There's a new feature which we're testing for the current movie production, so it can be stress tested and actually released in Blender 3.0, hopefully. And that is overrides. They are already in Blender to some extent, but what I could do over here is I could like select this chunk over here, and with dot I can like find where it is in the outliner. It's over here. Now what I want to do is it's log bridge over here. I want to be able to edit this part of what I linked in. So I can right click on the log bridge collection over here, which has everything I need. Right click, ID data, and then make library override hierarchy. So what this does is now you can see actually something changed. The chain link icon has an arrow going through it. And this means there's now an override on this. We can see it here in the scene core collection. We have this over here, library overrides. And in the log bridge over here, we also have library overrides, and so on in all these different collections and objects which were in the collection I just overrid. I have just overridden. So what this means is, if I save for a moment, I can now actually move this around, even though it's linked in. So if I just open this up, for example, the object itself, we can see there's like the library overrides over here, and if I move the object, it's actually listing everything that has changed. For example, the location. So I can freely move this around. The asset is still linked in, but it will add an override of whatever I'm doing with it. So I'm still completely free to adjust it in any way. If I want to, I can also just go in here in transforms and just right click on location and just say remove overrides. And then it will just snap back to the original. But the thing I can now do is I can actually more permanently hide it. So I'm going to do the same thing with this tree over here. This is in LogBridge Extra, and it is specifically this tree. Since I already started modeling it, I want to be able to hide it. But in this case, to be honest, I can just use the check mark. This was a bit better organized for me. There's some more comments. Will you use 3ds Max? No, not probably not. What means ESPR at the collection names? How did you name your files to have this production organization? Well, I mean, we named everything manually, but we also have some tools that can automate some of this stuff a little bit. But EN is typically for environment assets and PR for props. So it's just a way of keeping things organized, having some naming conventions. And a question, is the library override feature in 3.0 alpha already? Only. Yes, but it's kind of, I think is, yeah, I mean, it should just be in 3.0, so you can actually try it out. Anyway, I got everything in here that I need. I'm also going to adjust the viewport a bit to like not show bones, and that should be it. The last thing I actually need from the layout right now is some more specific shot information. I don't have the cameras in here, so let's actually do this. Okay, so hold on. So over here, I'm going to call this layout dot. Hold on. I'm actually going to go to the to this website where we just have this tool essentially, where we have access to all of our different shots in the movie, and I just need to copy. I just need to check the names of the shots. So this is 0050. Okay. So I'm going to go back, and this is layout 010-0050. Perfect. Now I'm going to call this 010 and 050. This scene. This scene, and I still have the original layout file in here. I want to get the start and the end frame. So 68 is the start frame. 68. And the other thing I want to get is, for example, the cameras. So I'm going to split this again. Go to scenes, scene introduction. Okay, now I need the cameras collection. So I'm going to get this, put it in references, cameras. Now the interesting thing is it's not the best thing to showcase it here because there's only one shot. But what we typically do is we can add markers in the timeline, and we can link cameras to them. So whenever a new marker, hold on, you can just like open a Blender file in the background. Mushroom Grove. I'm gonna show this in a moment, but first I want to get these markers into my other scene as well. I don't want these just to be in the layout, so I'm going to select all of them with A, marker, duplicate marker to scene, and put them in the other scene as well. Perfect. Nice. Okay. Now the layout changes a bit in for the other shot. So I'm actually going to duplicate this scene. So just linked copy. Let's see. Wait a bit, and it's actually crashing. This was not crashing as much on my other workstation. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, comments. Which software is easy to create 3D animation short movie? Blender, Unity, Unreal, iClone? Well, Blender is pretty much made for smaller teams, like especially for smaller teams, and just also short film production, which we're using it mainly for. But I mean, we're also gearing up to feature film production, so it's still planned. But in general, Blender should be an all-inclusive package for making short film productions. So I would say that's actually a pretty solid choice. That's what it's that is what it was made for. Anyway, let's try this again. I'm gonna save. Linked copy. Come on, please. If this doesn't work, I need to make a completely... It actually doesn't work. It crashes. Okay. Open the log bridge. In the meantime, I can like show what I mean, what I meant with the markers. Because if I go, for example, to the Mushroom Grove which is like basically the sequence that comes directly afterwards, you can see how I'm scrubbing through the timeline and it's automatically switching cameras. So this is because the cameras are actually linked to these markers, and whenever the timeline is like meeting one of these markers, it is automatically switching cameras. And this is something really helpful to just copy over from the layout, so I can just be sure that everything looks exactly the same and I don't need to worry about the cameras. Crashed again. Okay, well, this is something I need to... This must be something pretty specific to this computer. There's something going on. I'm going to investigate after the live stream. But for now I have to deal with it. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do instead. I'm going to create a new scene and just new. Now it's empty. There's nothing in it. Won't crash. Okay. Now this one I'm going to call 010 0040. The shot right before that. And I'm just going to split this real quick, go to the other scene and see what I can link over. So I definitely want to have the exact same set in here, and let's just go for the same lighting. In terms of references, I want its very own references folder. I don't care too much. Wait, 40, and I'm going to rename this one to .0050. Perfect. Save. Damn it. Yeah, the objects don't show up in here. And then I'm also going to bring in the libraries. Bam. Now I'm still missing the layout from that other file, so I'm going to link that in right now. Going back up to previous 010 intro beginning log. That is the one. And I want that scene. Link. I see some more comments. Could you share with us any doc with basic organization names that helps us keep big files organized? That would be nice. I think there's like, if you go to any of our projects online, on the Blender Cloud, any film that we made, we have, like, especially Andy's doing a lot of work there of making of videos on like how we keep things organized, how our naming conventions work. There's plenty of content there, and I think that will be really helpful. But anyway, so I got the two layouts in here. Unfortunately, they're named the same. That's not very helpful, but it doesn't matter too much because I can still see, hold on, that the first one is from the beginning. There we go. Yeah, because that one just has Ellie as the character. Okay, I'm going to call this layout. I'm going to link in Ellie and also scene core and scene extra. Then I need to get the cameras and the markers as well, and it just crashes. This was working flawlessly on my other computer. I don't know what's going on here. I see someone ask, how do scenes help? Well, scenes can help you have completely different contents, but in the same file. So you could have one scene which has its own stuff in the outliner, its own representation and visualization of everything in it, but that you can go to another scene and it just has its very own contents. These can still be shared across scenes, but in this case it is actually really useful to sometimes just work from one file. I can't really I can't really come up with a concrete example, to be honest, because this is like the only one that I could really show right now. If you have like, you're working on an asset which is important for multiple different scenes, you can keep those, you can have those scenes set up in a way that you can immediately switch between them. But you're still in the asset file, and you're still editing the asset in that file mainly. Everything else is just reference. So that's where scenes and also view layers can really be useful. But it would be nice to make a tutorial on this, to be honest. Anyway, link in the cameras. That works. I'm going to go to log bridge beginning. This one. Okay, log bridge beginning. 192 and start frame 101. That's the timeline. And the other thing is I want the markers. So I'm going to select all the markers, duplicate the scene, and there we have them. So now at least Ellie and the cameras should be in place. I just need to get the set in. Okay, most importantly is the core. The core collection. That works. Perfect. So Forest North and Grove I can just disable. I don't need them. And now saving, and scene extra. Link it in. Please work. I see some more comments. Which software are you using for live streaming? Is it OBS or another software? It's actually OBS. Really like that software. And it's crashing. And I don't know why. Okay. Okay, does Blender support FBX or OBJ format files? Yeah, sure. You can just use them for export and import. Blender supports quite a few files, and I mean USD support and Alembic support was always a big topic. I'm gonna try something. Layout extra, I'm going to just link in these specific collections. Does that work? If it doesn't work, then I have to use the collection from the other set, from the other layout file, which wouldn't be that bad, to be honest. Yeah, I think it's... Oh my god, it worked! Perfect! Okay, I'm gonna save. Okay, this is a win. There we go. Now, I got everything in here that I need for this specific scene, for this shot, and for this shot, which has only minor differences, but I still want to be able to switch between them to see the differences. My god. Come on. Okay, some more comments. Can you animate rigged characters which have been linked, or do you always animate in an original file? You can link in any asset and still animate it. The traditional workflow for this is proxies. You can look it up online. I'm sure there's some video tutorials on that. But for now, like with this project, we're also using overrides for that, which will be the future way of doing it. Of just like you link something in, you add overrides, and then you can change it. Another comment. Could you share with us any doc? Oh, I already saw that comment. Why is your scene missing lighting? Isn't it not necessary right now? How do you add them to your main clip? By video editing? Sorry, it's like I'm a bit confused. Well, right now it's really just about working on the general set, and then the lighting will happen with that. So those are still two different tasks that can happen interchangeably. Okay, and I'm changing to the other. Oh no. Okay, just closing all of these windows. Okay, I need to doctor around in the set file now, because I can't go back to the other scene. It's just crashing. This is so bad. I need to do some bug reports afterwards. This is really unfortunate. Takes its sweet time. It's really strange. There's something strange going on with this workstation, because on the computer that I'm usually working on, that was just working fine. Okay, now I got the scenes over here. Some of these are the same. I can open the references. And I'm just going to unlink the layout. Can I now switch to the other set, to the other scene? Yes, I can. My God, okay. Okay, yeah, I need to try this again, see what happens. So I link in the characters, that works. I save, and I link in the set from the layout. There we go, that worked. Disable J. Now, this doesn't have the overrides anymore, but maybe the overrides were causing some issues. I need to try to see if that changes anything. So I'm going to add layout here as well. Ellie. Save. And both of these. Come on. Please. In that case, plan B, which I wanted to do a bit ago. I hope in a moment I can actually get past this. I've been hung on this for way too long. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm instead going to do is I'm just getting like the same layout collections from here. The very same. And then it should work, ideally. It should just... Maybe there's like some circular linking going on. I can't know for sure. But something is wrong. Okay, move it into this. Save. Okay, going back between scenes. Oh, this is really slow. And it's just crashing. What is this? Invalid driver. Yeah, there's something bad going on. Yeah. Huh. I see Falke ask, has this previously worked on the same machine? No. Well, I worked on the other set files for now, before setting this up. But this has worked on other computers. For some reason, it's not working on this one. That's very unfortunate. See, someone asked, do all the scenes render at once? I think only the scenes that the scene that you're in is rendering. Like, so they can be very much separate. But I would need, yeah, I think that's the case. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. Oh no, I already... Okay, hold on. Opening the file again. Okay, I will only work on one shot for now, because it seemed to have worked as long as I have only one shot. So I'm not going to do the whole setup with two scenes, even though that was the plan. God damn it. Yeah, I'll just work around it for now. If I do another stream, then by then it should be fixed. I see a question. Is this a Blender's new cinematic or something else? You mean a new movie? Yeah. This is the next movie that we're working on right now. You can find more info in the description. There's like a link to the Blender Cloud website and everything. Come on. Gotta click on the right things. Unlink. Save. And go back to the other one. Or is it also happening if Ellie is just linked it to this one? Maybe it has nothing to do with that. Maybe it's just... I'm not sure. Oh, it actually worked. It just took very long. Okay. I will just keep working on this for now. Let's see. see, layout, scene, extra, log ridge extra. Which tree is it? This one. I want to hide this one. Perfect. Alright. I already worked on this specific prop, so this was the original layout version of the tree trunk. Just hide this. And this is the new one. So this is what I've been working on the past couple of days, including other things. And I also already worked on these ones. These are linked in from other files because these are specifically assets that characters will interact with. Like for example this log which the characters are walking over, which will then like bend a little bit and wobble while rubble is falling on the sides. So these will eventually get rigs. But what I can do from that for now is work on all the other parts which are still interesting and important, I mean. So mainly it's about, if I just hide this, these two sides of the ground. So what I could do is I could at least somewhat start from this geometry. This will save me some time, so I can select these and duplicate them. Now they're duplicated, they're still linked over here. And I can maybe press on the 3 over here. No. No. Did this change? Hold on. Interesting. Okay, this is fascinating, that when I duplicate a linked object, it actually links them. So if I now duplicate this again, it doesn't actually work. I think did the logic change? But I also can't make this specific one local. Okay, this is really unfortunate. Okay. Wow. Some questions in the chat. How do you place animation inside its scene? Well, I mean, I did link in the characters from the animation file, so the animation just automatically comes with it. Do you have to have a perfect topology for the tree prop, such as a character, or can it be more simple? Well, kinda. I can just kinda open up the prop file for a moment, which is log bridge trunk. And in here, I just have the asset itself. So this is just pretty like the tree trunk that I modeled. And because it is just a very an asset that will not be in many shots, I shouldn't spend too much time on it. In order to add more detail to the model, I added a multi-resolution modifier, which then let me just add a bit more detail. And if we need more resolution for like extra displacements or something, we can just subdivide it further, and that's it. This will still need UVs and materials and everything, but this should be good enough as a prop to be used. Anyway, is there no way? Maybe someone knows in the comments, like, I forgot. Or if the logic actually changed. I cannot duplicate this object because it is linked. But I don't want to like link it to the root collection. I want to actually duplicate it. Why is that not working anymore? There's no other way of doing it. I don't want to make this local. I want to keep it linked. Well, what I could try to do is make a library override again. So data, make library override hierarchy. So now this is actually overridden. So it is basically local, somewhat. And now if I duplicate it, it is actually being duplicated, finally. I see another question. I'm planning on making a short film that involves a lot of houses. Is there a way to make it easier for someone like me who will do it all alone? Well, the best way to do it is to set up the houses modularly. So you can have like specific assets like the individual walls, windows, ceiling parts, and then either arrange it manually or, like someone mentioned in the comments, using geometry nodes. I see Falk comment, maybe duplicate linked using Alt-D. That is exactly the opposite though. That will then duplicate it but still keep the geometry linked. In this case, with a linked object, it would probably keep the object linked as well. So I want to actually make a full copy. But I got it working. So if I now go in here and ID data and make this local, it should work. Yes, make local. Now I got actually duplicates of this. I can move it into the set collection and keep working. But this also means I can just completely hide this collection, which had the original log bridge from the layout and the ground, and instead I can just have these new grounds, which I'm going to work on further. Click on the little 4 or the link icon, but I would rather do the 4, then it just makes a duplicate version of the geometry data as well. There we go. Actually, let me just, I'm gonna make this local overall, also the materials. Or let me actually undo that, because I'm worried that it will actually make the material local everywhere. Oh. Not just on this asset, but all of them. Oof. Okay, so I accidentally moved this. Oh, come on. Okay. I'm going to hide the scene extras again. And over here, one thing I could do is I can select all the geometry based on the grass. Separate that into its own object. Over here, the same. I think those will eventually be just 2 separate geometries. I see another question. Is there any way to make a rig for lip syncing without shape keys? Sure. I'm not that familiar with rigging, but I'm very certain that the rigs for our movies are not primarily shape key based. So a lot of it is with a chain of bones, with like a network of bones, basically. So maybe there's more info on that from our rigger, Matt. Okay, so I got all of this geometry. Essentially, what about this stuff? That's forest north and forest and grove. I can just hide that. I don't need it. Okay. There's a lot of geometry that I can just get rid of, to be honest. All of this over here, I can just delete it. There we go. All of this in the far back. Where's the... Yeah, I mean, I can keep this for now. Or at least, to be honest, just getting rid of this. The fewer ground, the less ground we have, the better. Okay, I can just add some loop cuts over here, so I can select this, move it down. Okay, and from the camera perspective, this is also all right. Okay, awesome. Now, one of the things I already know from the other set, from the other scene, which I wanted to show, is there's some differences in the ground over here. Like, once we see it from this angle, we want to be able to see the entire line of this cliff. And right now, this is really going downwards, so there need to be some differences here. Okay, just gonna move this up essentially. Actually, let me undo that. Go into edit mode on both of these. Yeah, I'm doing it a bit crudely, but that's fine. I can. Oh no. Yeah, I'm not even going to comment on it. Oh, wrong file. I see a comment. On a similar note, filling in the background is also something that concerns me, especially in different shots. Do you have ways to fill the background of a shot? Well, the most important thing for the set right now is like whatever is going to be in the foreground, anything the characters are interacting with. But it's true, the background is a concern. There's lots that can be added there, and it's probably not necessary to have it in the set file. Like, for example, if this is the only shot where we see all that stuff in the background, all the extra forest and like whatever is behind that cliff, if that is the only shot where we see it, then we're probably not going to add it necessarily to the set file, but to the shot file, or have it as a separate set that we can also link in. Because this set file is also going to be used for the animators, and if they have to first like hide all the extra stuff that they don't need, that is just going to make the file slower, then it should probably not be in there. First and foremost, what is most important for the set file is that all the main contents are in there, which are necessary for the animation and the lighting. Anything else can be added separately. So, let me get back to the ground. Here we go. Okay. Oh wow, I actually lost quite a bit of oh no. Okay. No, I didn't lose much progress. It's all still there. Hold on. I actually want to reload the file because I want to test something. That's more of a potential bug report. But since I'm already encountering all of this stuff, let's just do it now. It's just about reloading it and seeing if the visibility state stays the same. see another question. How do you get your Blender set up? Well, I'm at least sharing my theme. You can find it in the description, since people were asking for it. Ah, everything stays the same. Nice. Okay, then I don't have anything to worry about, really. Okay. So, you can find the theme in the description, but in terms of like the general Blender setup, I would love to share it even more, but especially the key map is kind of difficult to get out there, and it is like highly personalized towards my workflow. So maybe it's not that great to share. Okay. I can just go into sculpt mode, smooth this over, and also just hide the other side for a moment. There we go. Okay. Now this is more what we will probably need later on in the movie. Okay, gonna get back the other stuff. Just going to distribute this a bit more evenly. There we go. Oh. Okay. Don't see any more comments for now. So. There's some various other things I want to do. I think it was a bit of a mistake to split these objects just yet. I think I can still adjust them a bit. So over here, for example, it's pretty important that I wanted to expose this root. So I can kind of push this out. Also, I need to keep in mind the references. So let me actually hold on. Quickly looking something up. There we go. Okay. I just set it up on a separate screen, the concept art, so I can keep looking at it for now. Oh my god. I see someone ask, what is the estimated release for Sprite Fright? Halloween. That is the goal. Yeah, actually, to be honest, I'm going to just come on, bridge these for now. It just makes it, come on. It just makes it easier to edit them. I don't need face sets. To be honest, we don't even see much of the cliff face over here. It is really quite a different layout, unless I'm missing something in the other collection. Yeah, there's some more stuff in here. For example, this one. Now I would love to pick that one as well. That would be amazing. Also these two. All three of these. This one, and this one. I would actually need them. This would also be useful. Whatever I can reuse from the layout would be beneficial. So... But still, just duplicating these doesn't actually work. Does not work anymore. So I actually do need to override this entire collection. Wow. Okay, let's just do it anyway. So ID data, library override. Which might just take a bit of time. And it's done. Okay, now, come on. Now I want to duplicate these. I actually duplicate it. Hey. Why doesn't it work? Okay. Make local. There we go. Now, these are going to be helpful as well. I'm gonna smooth over them a little bit. These ones I'm just going to split into separate assets. In. Oh, I love this, that I can now immediately switch between objects without going into object mode first. Just go into any one of them immediately. There we go. I want these to be more smooth than the original layout. Basically like in the original concept, if I just go to that one real quick. Like this, these are like really nice flowing shapes, really rounded and friendly. This is the sense that you should get from this, so I want to reinforce this in the models as much as possible. I really like to use sculpt mode for also general modeling, because it's just very easy to make broader changes to the shapes. If I want to do anything more specific, anything more precision based, I'm going to do it in edit mode. Sculpt mode is really, with all of the tool sets, it's really useful to make bigger changes. Okay, like this. Now, I'm probably just going to split these into separate objects like this for now. Because then I'm not really going into the ground contact yet for the animation. I just want to have a more general layout, something that is really going to sell the feel of the set. So I'm going to separate this into its own objects. It just lets me do broader adjustments a bit more easily. Also, I should keep the references on the side in mind, which are really useful. Now, this should also be more smooth. I also want this to move up a bit. And I'm not worrying too much about like how it connects to the other side over here, because we're not going to see that yet. Not that much. Okay. This is interesting. The roots need to be somewhat exposed. And then over here, I'm gonna push it back in. This lump over here is going to be more visible. But a little bit lower, so we see some grass there as well. Awesome. Making this a bit more flat. Do we actually see this part over here? Yes, we do. Perfect. Okay, this is nice. Try to change into sculpt mode on Ellie's hair. Oops. Okay, I want to lower this one a bit, give it a slightly different shape than the part of the ground right next to it, just so it's not too samey. Can also redistribute the topology a bit with a slight relax brush, which I always like. Here we go. Okay, so and then the forest is gonna be on that, all that part, those parts, which should be good. What I don't quite get yet is that sense of decline over here on the near the edge. So I would like to like edit this a bit more so that it's pointing a bit more downwards. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side. So essentially going in, smoothing this out a little bit. Oh. Oh. Also here, I again still need to bridge these sides again since I separated them. There we go. And yeah, the log bridge is really just hanging on to dear life over here. Like that. I can push this up over here a bit more. So again, on this side, we also get the sense of like decline going inwards. Can switch to this object again. I'm also thinking maybe I should actually turn on screencast keys. Oh, I don't have the add-on enabled. Screencast keys. It is now broken. Rest in peace. I need to... oh my god. Yeah, I need to update the add-on. I see another question. Will you be passing these assets to someone else for layout? Also, do you know about the hidden canvas feature of PureRef? Control Y. Super useful. No, I didn't know about that feature. I need to try that out. But I'd rather have my references on a separate screen, then I don't need to toggle it on and off. I'm gonna check it out though. And then these assets will be passed on not to layout, but for the final animation. So I need to make sure that this is fitting the layout we already have to some extent. And then the animators can jump in and actually make sure it's working. Like, can actually make sure they can animate the final scenes with it. There we go. Okay, I'm going to actually separate this into left side and right side. I want to keep everything a little bit organized. So I'm gonna select all of these objects, move them into right side, and all of this belongs into the left side. This is right side as well. So while I'm making the set, I need to make sure that everything is organized. So I'm punching the microphone, I'm sorry. And part of that is to actually have a proper setup. So I also want to separate this into certain collections. So for example, ground. All of these collections need to be able to be toggled on and off, not just for rendering, but also for animation. So here I could go for trees. Later on, there would be also the props, but I can add them separately. There's also plants and rocks. And in there, I would also separate this maybe further into like collections like foreground and mid and background. So for the lighting, for example, the background assets could still be important. They could make a visual difference, but for the animators, they want to have only the most necessary assets visible, because anything else could hit the frame rate a bit too hard. So, what else was there? I think I'm just gonna keep it like this for now. I'm gonna actually select all of these objects and give them a subdivision surface modifier. This can also be visualized in sculpt mode, which is super useful. Need to push this down a bit more. Like this road over here needs to be for the animation. You can also like take Phil's foot right now as kind of a reference for how high this actually needs to be. Like over here. Select all the geometry over here and just scale it down to the 3D cursor. And then I can at least be somewhat sure what is necessary for the ground contact of the characters. So this should be enough. There we go. It can be a bit of a hill over here on the side next to that ground, so it can still be that sense of a slope going downwards. Same thing over here. And this is now only for the ground contact, but this is already giving like a sense of like the composition and where things need to be. Also need to change to this object. Adjust it a bit. Like that. Actually, to be honest, I like to push this further in. And have this object a bit more central. Something missing in the concept, which I really liked, and that's like a sense of depth, especially over here in the foreground, and that's what I want to get back. Not just over here, but also, for example, with this object. So if I bring this one further into the foreground, and then having like a tree over here with roots, that can really help to sell the depth with some extra foreground elements. Like if I show the concept art again here, we really see the layering going on, and it just makes the shot more interesting. Oh, I missed some questions. What version of Pop! OS do you use? Do you use it for your personal PC? No. I mean, personally, I'm using Windows, but for work, I am using Ubuntu. Only over here, I'm using Pop! OS because that's basically just the operating system that's on the computer over here, on the recording computer. But I'm fine with it. It still works. But yeah, my personal usual workstation I have a bit more customized. Another question. Hi, how do you know where to keyframe your layout, i.e. the characters? Where to keyframe? As in spatially? I'm not sure. Like, well, the first thing that Yeltsin started with when he worked on the layout is he started with a general floor plan, and that kind of gives you an idea of where each scene is spatially, especially if they're connected chronologically. So that kind of gave us a good idea of where things are, and that's also why we can very easily like have the sets connected. But that plan kind of went out the window pretty quickly after some shots were shuffled around and the continuity spatially became a bit messed up. So especially since you have like different shots set up, your scenes and your characters and your layout animation can really be anywhere, even in terms of time, because in the end you're going to cut your shots together, and how and when and where they are actually rendered, it doesn't matter. Not that much. Another question, is this type of stuff you were working on when not working on snow? Yeah, I mean, I was working also still on props, but I was setting up, I was already getting into set work, so this was basically what I was working on while doing live streams on snow. So that is correct. Let's see. To actually save and let's see. I want to really keep these hills as smooth as possible. Sculpt mode is really great for that, because then just using the smooth brush really makes that easy. Okay, let's see. Can I also add some hills over here? Not too much, but just a bit of slope. Just to make it more interesting. I don't want this set to feel too flat. If it kind of gets like, this. Oh wow, my shortcuts are a bit messed up. It kind of gets this like curvature over here. That would be amazing. So just, I mean, that's kind of what it's what is in the concept. Only that the frame itself, now the shot, is a bit more zoomed in, so it makes this all a little bit more difficult, because more emphasis is now on the characters and not on the set anymore. So if I compare this to the concept art, yeah, this is not as far away, so we don't see as much of the cliff. It should be fine anyway. Like this. I see another question. This scene reminds me a lot of Indiana Jones across the gorge. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it is a bit of a trope. That's the thing. I think it can be very easily said about the movie, which is like essentially like doing a lot of tropes, and like also, I mean, kind of in a comedic way. So it's like a bit of at the core of it. Okay. I think this is already kind of working well. So now I can basically continue. Like, I could just leave this as it is for now. I think this is already a good start in terms of the ground. This needs to be worked on further, especially for setting up for the animation, but what is this collection? But yeah, the rest can easily be added on top. Let's see. This tree is supposed to be excluded. What about this? This can also be hidden. As well as these little islands over here. Like I can also just hide all of them. This one as well. There we go. Can bring back the set. And I can just iteratively remove parts of the layout until I have, like, once I have them in the set, I don't need them from the layout anymore. I can just remove this as well. That's fine. Yeah. Okay, I think the next important thing that I could do is bring in all the trees. But first I would like to merge all of the ground pieces back together. So I could just like merge these back. Merge by distance. Let's see if that works. No. Not quite. Huh. Yeah. Damn it. Yeah, I think I did a bit of a mistake here to to split this off, but now I need to stitch it back together, which takes a bit of work. Maybe there's a faster way of doing this. I can also just really fast just select these, merge these together. That. There we go. And then essentially the same thing over here. Hey. Oh my god, okay. Almost got it. I also see some questions. I'm gonna answer them in a moment. To be honest, what I should have done instead of splitting this into separate objects is to set up some face sets. Which means I could have just auto-masked them off in sculpt mode. Would have made it a lot easier to keep them separate, but still have them in the same object. These guys over here, I can just keep them separate. That's fine. But these, I at least wanted to have them stitched back together, because eventually we're gonna have some scenes over here from this perspective, playing more on this ground. So, yeah, I wanted this back. I see comments, so let's just quickly check out the chat. Please, can you show us your pen settings as a new Blender sculpt artist? Well, it's actually really simple. I'm just using, essentially the tip is just left click. I have two buttons on the side. Essentially the upper button is the middle mouse button, and the lower one is right click. And that's it. That should really just give you all the same functionality as a mouse, except for the mouse wheel, but you can get by without it. Could you use geometry nodes to have grass with blowing moment in it? Yes, that should be possible. But we're not really going to use, like just for budgeting reasons, we're not going to use animated grass or leaves that much. It's going to be more on scattering assets, but we could theoretically do it. Oh, another question. Here's a question I have. How do you guys deal with scale? Is the layout shot already planned with everything in the right scale? Yes. I think that's pretty important, that not just from the pretty early on for all the assets, but also the sets and I mean just anything. It really should have the right scale, otherwise you're going to run into problems later on, especially if the scale is inconsistent. But there are some problems, so especially with the layout. If I now look at the trees, they have been kind of like crudely modeled in place to fit the composition. But what I now need to deal with is that these trees are way too small. They are not the correct size at all. Wait, why is this again visible? I'm pretty sure the visibility state is not staying the same when reloading the file. But if I would just now, I think I actually have the trees in here. No, I don't. Okay, I need the trees. So let's see. In the libraries, let's link in some trees. So I go to environment assets, trees, collections, and it crashes. This is really unfortunate. Another question. Please, can you show us your pen settings? Well, I don't really have like a UI on this computer for pen settings. I think it's just the default setup that's already been done. But how do we scale it? Scale what? Yeah, this takes a while. Man. Okay, I'm already going to open another Blender and just get essentially to the trees file. So open up, go to environment assets and the trees. Now these are just like the most essential building blocks for trees. We're like also editing them further in the scene sometimes if they're in the foreground. But yes. Plenty to choose from. More branches are going to add it afterwards. See, Falgas, are you loading stuff over the network? No, it's all local. I don't get this. I think it's now actually freezing when I open the set file. One of the things that I can do to make it more optimized with opening it is to unlink the, like, just not use the entire layout file and link it in, but just specific collections. I think that should make it easier to load the file, but this was usually not a problem. This is really unfortunate. If I can't show it today, in terms of set dressing and scattering assets, I would show that another time. So it's just a bit unfortunate. But in that case, I'm probably not going to show it with this set, because after the stream, I will need to keep working on it. So there's no benefit in waiting. Wow, I think it actually froze. I see someone ask, any reason you're using actual mesh versus geometry nodes for the big trees, for the background trees? Well, I mean, for the trees, it's easier to just model variations. We don't need that many, and we can get by with geometry, but there's further variation coming in, and that is then also with geometry nodes, and that is how we arrange the branches, which we are still going to automate to an extent with geometry nodes, very likely. And the leaves, which also can have a custom arrangement with geometry nodes, which we're already using. So geometry nodes are actually like, it is one of the main development goals for this movie production. This is one of the big things that we're testing and really giving feedback on and developing further. And the other thing is overrides. And I mean, I'm just really looking forward to these things being developed further. Geometry nodes is already out. I love that. And in terms of overrides, for it just to be released in like its full working state, because if that thing gets in, that's gonna be huge. It's so useful, especially for productions. Overrides will be a game changer. Well, just gonna quit Blender. Let's try this one more time. Okay, lock bridge. Another question. Sorry, but does Blender fall under multimedia and arts, or? Well, it makes sense. Depends on the context. I'm not sure what you mean, but seems like Blender should fall under those categories wherever they belong. Yeah, I like in terms of like geometry nodes, there's not many nodes right now, and there's also right now talk about just porting over a lot of nodes from, for example, shader nodes, like just general things. So you have a lot of familiar math nodes and stuff like that. But I was also playing around with it, just also in my free time, and it is insane how useful it can be even for small tasks. But yeah, in terms of production, just scattering assets, you can get so complex. You can build so complex node trees and do insane things. Another question. Sorry, but does Blender fall under multimedia and arts, or like animation as a whole? To like study it at school? Ah, okay, okay. I mean, Blender is being taught also in well, I'm not sure with school, but like at least the universities that I've visited, like they also like to use Blender because it's free. So you will definitely encounter it, but I'm like, so it's being used, but there's no like school that's using it primarily. I'm not sure. Depends on the country, depends on what is being taught. Why Cycles X not render volume? I see someone ask. Well, not yet, that's the thing. Cycles X is still under development, so it will change over time and eventually support everything that was lost right now. It's easier to take just the basic functionality of a render engine and polish that first, and not improve everything at once. Yeah, I think this has been enough for today. I'm really sorry that this was not going as smoothly as I hoped. I would have loved to go more into set dressing and actually like building the set from the ground up. But seems like the computer here is not allowing me to do that today. Well, I've been already going for more than 2 hours. So I would say I will continue this next week on Thursday, same time. Either with more set dressing, finally getting into that, or something else. Like, there's plenty of topics to choose from. But thank you very much for watching. I hope this was insightful. I'm always glad to answer questions, especially like related to the production and like how to use Blender or whatever comes to your mind. This is also meant to be a bit of a QA session. So thanks very much for watching. I'm going to stop now. See you